Hi, friends, and welcome to Live from the City Opera House. It's Storytime. I'm your host, Ben Whiting, and every week on this show, we're going to have a great story read by a special guest, and then have a fun activity that you can participate in right from home, using objects and materials that you can find in your house or classroom. Now, we'll always be learning about science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and of course, local culture. Now, for today's book. Today we're going to be reading about one of my absolute favorite ways to get around, the bicycle. The title of the book is The Red Bicycle, and we're going to learn about how people all over the world rely on bikes to get around. We'll also be learning about one ordinary bicycle and one extraordinary boy and how they change lives around the world. Now for today's activity, we're going to be participating in a poetry challenge, and here's what you'll need. Notebook or scrap paper, pen or pencil, scissors, large paper, and a grocery bag. Now, if you don't have those materials handy, that's okay. Go ahead and watch today's episode, and then you can come back and rewatch it later when you have those materials, and you can participate in today's activity. Now, to help us read today's story is one of the coolest people on two wheels, Ty Schmidt. Ty is co-founder and executive director of Norte. Now, Norte is a local nonprofit in Traverse City that helps keep kids happy and healthy by finding safe bike routes to and from school and providing bicycles. Now, Norte has also teamed up with the Sunrise Rotary Club in Traverse City to provide bicycles for children in Malawi, Africa, so they too can get to and from school. How cool! And with that, take it away, Mr. Schmidt.
My name is Ty Schmidt, Executive Director at Norte. Norte is a youth-focused, bike-centric advocacy organization based here in Traverse City. And today we're going to read this book called The Red Bicycle, The Extraordinary Story of One Ordinary Bicycle, written by Jude Isabella, illustrated by Simone Shin. And this book is being read with permission from Kids Can Press. Leo wipes the sweat off of his brow. It's a hot day, and he's almost finished mowing the neighbor's lawn. Today he will meet his goal. He will have earned enough money to buy a new bicycle. For 2 years, Leo has watched his money grow. Each time a neighbor paid him for mowing a lawn, raking leaves, or shoveling snow, he would take his money to the bank. Then he would stop at the bike shop across the street to visit his bicycle. It had 18 gears and a suspension fork and is painted bright red. Leo finishes mowing and collects his pay, then runs to the bank. There he withdraws the money for his bicycle. He hurries to the bike shop and watches while the owner counts the money. "Congratulations, Leo," she says. She knows how much he has wanted this bicycle. Leo names the bicycle Big Red. He rides Big Red to school. He rides it to the swimming pool. He rides it to the soccer practice. And Leo rides Big Red everywhere. Leo is getting older, and he is growing. He grows so tall one summer that his knees hit Big Red's handlebars. It is time for a new bicycle. But Leo loves Big Red. Even though the bicycle is a few years old, he has taken good care of it, and Big Red looks almost brand new. He wheels Big Red to the garage, feeling a little sad. He walks to school without thinking about what to do about the bike. Leo wants to give Big Red to someone who will love the bicycle as much as he does. But everyone he knows already owns a bike. After school, Leo walks to the bike shop. The owner asks where Big Red is, and Leo explains that he has outgrown the bicycle. He needs a bigger bike, he says, and a new home for Big Red. "I have an idea for you," she says, pointing to a poster. An organization in town is collecting bicycles. They send the bikes to a faraway country to people who can't afford a bicycle but need one for transportation. Right there, Leo decides to donate Big Red. It will have a new home where it is really needed. Leo wants Big Red to look its best for its trip. He washes the frame until it gleams. He oils the chain. He puts on new hand grips. His father takes a photo of Leo working on Big Red. When he's finished, Leo hops on to the too small bicycle and rides it to the shipping container where Big Red will start its new journey. This is the pair's last ride together. The shipping container is surrounded by bikes and by people there to help out. One man demonstrates how to take apart the bicycle for packing. Leo gets to work. He grabs a bike and unhooks the front brake. Then he removes the front tire and pedals. He loosens the handlebars and lowers the seat. With the man's help, he ties the front wheel to the frame and the pedals under the seat. Leo works on so many bikes he loses count. Finally, only one bicycle remains, Big Red. Leo takes apart his bicycle. He places it in the container. It is one of 462 bikes, spare parts, tools, knapsacks, and soccer balls on the way to Africa. Leo feels a lump in his throat as he closes the door. The driver hops into the cab, toots the horn, and everyone claps and cheers. Leo waves as the big truck pulls away. Goodbye, Big Red. Have a great adventure. At the shipping port, a crane loads the container onto a big freighter. The red bicycle is squeezed against the container door. It is secure for now, but the ocean can be rough, especially in a storm. The ship leaves port and heads south. Containers shift as the wind whips up and the waves get higher. Near South America, the ship turns and heads straight across the Atlantic Ocean towards West Africa, hugging the coast until it reaches Ghana. After 29 days, the red bicycle reaches land. A crane picks up the container and loads it onto a truck. As the truck lumbers north, the container rocks back and forth on a rough road. Big Red bangs up against the door each time the truck dips into a pothole and then out again. Finally, the truck stops at the city of Kudugu in Burkina Faso. But Big Red's journey is not over. The bicycles are unloaded and reassembled. Their frames glint in the African sun. An organization that helps widows and orphans will distribute the bicycle to families who need them. Bicycles save time and effort. Children ride them to school, and older folks use them to transport goods to market. Awa Sawadogo is a grandmother who is raising 3 of her grandchildren. She and her granddaughter, Aliseta, are waiting for a bicycle. Aliseta gazes at the bicycles. She spots a green bike with knobby tires and a wide, upright handlebars. It looks too big. Her eyes flint from bicycle to bicycle until she sees a bright red frame. Perfect. She can see herself breezing to the market on the red bicycle. One by one, the new owners claim their bicycles. Aliseta locks her eyes on Big Red, hoping no one else will wheel it away, and finally her grandmother's name is called. Only a few bicycles remain, and Big Red leans against the container. Aliseta rushes over to it. This one, she says. In the bush taxi on the way back to the village, Aliseta worries. She has never ridden a bicycle. Her grandmother pats her hand. It will be no problem for you, Aliseta. Aliseta leans Big Red against a baobab tree in the center of her village. A few kids gather, and then more, until it seems as if the whole village is watching. She grips the handlebars tightly. The handlebars feel nice. They're smooth and new. She hitches up her pang and climbs onto the bicycle. She keeps one hand on the tree, and Big Red wobbles. Aliseta hops off the seat and plants her flip-flops firmly on the ground. Still straddling the bike, she begins to walk. Her friends clap and call out her name. Her friend Samira offers to push her. Aliseta climbs up onto the seat, and they are off. Samira jogs alongside Big Red, holding onto its seat. Then she takes her hand away, and the bicycle slows down, wobbles, and Aliseta tumbles off. You need to go faster, Samira says. This time when Samira lets go, Aliseta pedals hard. The bike is better behaved now. Aliseta leaves Samira behind and pedals so fast, she is soon past the last house in the village. She has done it. She stops and turns sailing back into the village and riding circles around the cheering kids. Awa comes to watch. She cheers along with the other kids and claps to Aliseta as she sweeps by on the red bicycle. Over the next few weeks, Awa and Aliseta put Big Red to work. They have a plot of land where they grow sorghum. It is ready to harvest, but there is one big problem. The birds often get to the sorghum before them. With Big Red, Aliseta can ride to the field early every morning to scare off the birds. Thanks to Big Red, they harvest more sorghum than usual. With more sorghum, the family eats better. Awa can also make a popular drink from sorghum called dolo. Making dolo produces extra yeast and draff, which is good animal feed. Awa trades the draff with her neighbors who have livestock in exchange for more sorghum. Aliseta begins to ride Big Red to village markets. She now has a basket to carry items for sale. She sells the extra bags of yeast and crotchets of plastic, shea butter, and then that she and Awa make. With the extra money, Awa sends Aliseta's younger brother and sister to school. Over time, Big Red becomes an important part of the family. Aliseta rides to the sorghum field and market and sometimes even gives her siblings a lift to school. Big Red is well used and well worn. One day, Awa takes a folded paper from her pang and hands it to her granddaughter. Inside, the paper is some money. Awa explains that she has been saving for another bicycle. With 2 bicycles, we can do even more, she explains. The next day, Aliseta takes a bush taxi to Kudugu. She walks through the streets, looking at bikes for sale. She stops at a shop where a mechanic is fitting pedals onto a bright green bicycle. It has a wire basket attached to the front. It looks about the right size. She clears her throat. The mechanic looks up and smiles. "You looking for a bicycle?" he asks. "Yes," she nods, points to the bike. "This one." When Aliseta arrives back in her village with the new bicycle, she is in for a surprise. A pig has gotten out from its owner, plowed through the family's courtyard, knocking into Big Red and trampling the spokes. Aliseta knows what will happen now. There is no money to fix the bicycle, so she will have to sell its parts, one by one. The new green bike will take its place, but Aliseta will miss Big Red. It was her first bicycle. Aliseta is at the market arranging her goods when a little pickup truck parks nearby. A man gets out. He chats with the people and eventually stopping in front of Aliseta. His name is Bukari, he says, and he is looking for bicycles. He works at a medical clinic that sends health workers on bicycles to visit sick people in villages without doctors or nurses, and he needs more bikes. Aliseta thinks about Big Red and its broken spokes. She tells Bukari she has a bicycle, but it needs repairs. She agrees to meet him at her house later. When Bukari arrives, he sees a faded red bicycle propped against the shed. He examines every bit of it: the tires, the wheel, the broken spokes, the frame, the chain, the gears, the seat, and the hand grips. He nods. "Yep, we can fix it. It is a strong bicycle. We will make it into an ambulance for the clinic." Awa and Aliseta tell him the story of how they got Big Red and how important it has been to their family. Aliseta wheels Big Red to the pickup truck, pats the seat, and whispers, "Thank you." Bukari takes Big Red and the other bicycles to a workshop on the outskirts of Kudugu. He sorts the bikes into 2 groups. Some are strong but need repairs. The others are at the end of their working lives. Bukari will use parts from them to fix the other good bikes. Bukari's eyes falls on the faded red bicycle. Big Red looks pretty good compared to the other bikes. It has been well taken care of, but it needs stronger wheels, a new seat, new brakes and hand grips, and a paint job. He picks up a wrench and gets to work. After a few hours of tinkering, he is done. Big Red looks almost new. Now, Bukari thinks, let's turn this into an ambulance. With a metal hoop and nail, Bukari attaches a trailer to the bicycle. The trailer has had the same tough wheels as the bicycle. On the trailer is a stretcher, propped up so a person can see out. A safety belt keeps the patient safe during the ride. There is a canopy to keep the sun and rain off. Big Red is ready for work. The sun is coming up, and Haridata winds a colorful scarf around her head, slips on her flip-flops, and walks across the courtyard. Her mother is already pounding grain. Haridata smiles and waves and calls, "See you later." The young woman is off to the health clinic where she volunteers. Haridata strides down the road. She wants to be on time. Today, she will make her first visit to a village on the new bicycle ambulance. A fine red dust coats everything. When she arrives at the clinic, she pauses to brush off the dust from the red bicycle ambulance parked out front. Inside the clinic, an older man is loading bandages and medicines into a medicine bag. He shakes Haridata's hand. "How are you? How is your family? And what's new?" Haridata loads the medical bag onto the back of the bicycle. She adds some bottled water and a blanket. As she pedals to the village, she sees other bicycles passing by. One is carrying a load of something so big Haridata can barely see the rider. Another has 3 children clinging to it, and one has a little goat tucked into a basket on the back. After riding for half an hour, Haridata arrives at the village. She hears the chatter of voices where she sees a crowd of people. She jumps off the bicycle, leans it against a tree, and wriggles her way through the crowd. A young boy lies on the ground, his head on a woman's lap. His eyes are scrunched shut, and he's very quiet. The woman speaks softly to the boy, patting his head. No one wants him to move. He's in pain, and his leg lies at an awkward angle. It is broken. Haridata speaks up. She explains who she is and points to the bicycle ambulance. 2 men help her remove the portable stretcher, and Haridata grabs a water bottle and some pills for pain. The men ease the boy onto the stretcher. He cries out as they lift him. She explains that she will take him to the clinic where a doctor can fix his leg. He must be brave, she tells him, and off they go on Big Red. At the clinic, a doctor sets the boy's leg, and Haridata pats Big Red's seat as she leaves. "Good work," she says quietly. Haridata's first day with the bicycle ambulance becomes a legend in the villages around the clinic. Everyone knows who she is when she rolls into town. The kids call the bike Le Grand Rouge. That's French. Bukhari visits regularly to check on the bicycle. He brings parts and keeps Le Grand Rouge working well. He's pleased the bike has a name and has done so much good. Over the next few years, Haridata visits many villages, sometimes a 3-hour ride away. The bicycle allows her to deliver medications and bring sick people to the hospital. One day, it's time for Haridata to move on. She has gained valuable experience with the medical clinic and Le Grand Rouge. She finds a job in a town with a bigger clinic. At the end of her last ride, she puts the bicycle away, pats the seat, and whispers, "Thank you." She stares at the red bicycle for a minute, wondering where its journey began. Far away for sure, she thinks. There is no hint that a girl pedaled along dirt roads carting goods to market, or that a boy once whipped around a small North American town on the red bicycle. But they remember Big Red, and Haridata will too. The end. Thank you for reading The Red Bicycle with me, an extraordinary story of one ordinary bicycle indeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Schmidt. Now it's time to take what we read and put it into action. And to do that, we have Miss Steffi Light, an elementary school library coordinator with TCAPS. Miss Light, how about you introduce yourself and get us started on today's activity?
Hi everyone, my name is Steffi Light. I'm a librarian in TCAPS. And I know that you just heard a story about bicycles. And there are some things that bicycles and libraries have in common. Both bicycles and libraries move people forward without costing any money. in libraries, you can find books about poetry. So what is poetry? Poetry can be so many different things. Poems tell small details about big ideas. Some poems follow rules. Some poems don't follow any rules. Some poems are silly. Some poems are serious. Some poems tell us about a big important moment, and lots of poems tell us about small moments. Who can be a poet? Anybody can be a poet. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you've ever written anything before. So I want to talk about a specific poem for a second that might sound familiar to you. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. That poem follows some rules. So you notice there's 2 lines that rhyme, and every line has the same amount of syllables. There are also so many poems that don't follow any rules like that. Some poems even make up words. This poem by Ogden Nash, see if you can hear the word that is made up. It's called The Shrimp. A shrimp who sought his lady shrimp could catch no glimpse, not even a glimp. At times, translucence is rather a nuisance. So what word was made up in that poem? It was glimp, and that means just a little bit of a glimpse. And I think it's really fun that you can play with language and make up words, and lots of poems have made up words in them. There's a couple different kinds of poems, and I wanted to share 2 that were written by my daughter, and her name is Emery. She wrote a poem that was an ode, and an ode is something that you're writing about that you really like. And so she wrote an ode to sushi. And it says, "Oh, sushi, you wait for me on your dish. And when I eat you, I taste dead fish. I bite into the rich skin and feel like all I did was win. I want to eat you every day, and wrapped in rice is where you stay. Some people think it's dumb, but without you, I'd be glum." So you heard some rhyming words in there, and this is something that she really likes. So you can make poems out of anything that you have. I wanted to show you a poem that I made with a stack of books. So if you look at the book titles, it tells a little bit of a story through the titles. So our story begins. Tell me more. How to be a person. A short guide to a happy life. Watch us rise. Roll with it. Wonder. So you can express your ideas through someone else's ideas in all different sorts of forms. I also made some materials to build a poem by cutting out from a magazine. I took words that were interesting to me, and what I can do is play with these words and put them together to express things that I'm thinking. So I'm thinking about summer, because we're in summertime. And summertime, so summer, delightful. I am glad. So it's fun to play with words, and that's what poetry is doing. We can move them in different ways. We can make up words, like the example we saw from Ogden Nash. And if you have anything in your house that is ready to be maybe recycled, like a magazine, that you can cut out words that are meaningful to you, you can play with them, put them together, and then you are a poet as well. See if you can find 5 things that you are. Let's think about maybe something you see, something you hear, something you're feeling, something you can touch. Try to pull all those things together and describe them with any kind of words that you create, and go ahead and just string them together and say them out loud, because it's fun to hear poems out loud. But you can be a poet, I can be a poet, and everybody around us can express themselves in poems and enjoy playing with words. Thank you.
work, everyone. Well, that is it for today's episode of Live from the City Opera House. It's Storytime, brought to you from the beautiful historic City Opera House in downtown Traverse City. If you want to watch future episodes or check out episodes from the past, you can do so by visiting tcaps247.com, michiganlearning.org, or tune in to your local PBS station. Thank you so much for being our wonderful audience. My name is Ben Whiting, and until next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep learning. Take care.
This program is made possible in part by Michigan Department of Education, the State of Michigan, and by viewers like you.